Good evening, everyone. My today's topic will be non-coronary intervention. So most of the time, all the lecture you have heard is about the coronary artery disease, angioplasty, and all that. But I will be today shooting beyond the coronaries. And this is the future of the coronary, non-coronary intervention suite, where the cardiologist and the cardiac surgeon, they will be all working together in a theater where the cath lab will be there and everything will be there. Why most of the surgical disease, cardiac disease which are being treated by surgery, now done by the non-coronary intervention, because lot of new developments are taking place, less traumatic, low risk, overall estimated cost is less, and the less stay in the hospital. First, I take up acyanotic congenital heart disease. In that, left to right shunt, patent ductus arteriosus, atrial septal defect, ventricle septal defect. Then second, we will take up the valvular stenosis like mitral stenosis, aortic stenosis, and pulmonary stenosis, and then coarctation of aorta. Patent ductus arteriosus is a communication between the aorta and the pulmonary artery, which is present at birth. And most of the time it closes within the first few hours. If it does not close, it remains patent. It is called patent ductus arteriosus. If on the echo we see, this is a aorta, and from aorta the blood flows to the pulmonary artery. And this video is after putting the device. So there is no flow from the aorta to the pulmonary artery. And when to intervene? Almost all the PDA should be closed. But if the patient has features of heart failure, history of endocarditis, the lower limb shows cyanosis, there is active infector endocarditis, or aneurysm of the PDA, that is a contraindication for device closure. So these are the devices. Small PDA we put the coils, and large PDA we put implants the device. This is show you interesting case. This is a 4-year-old female having a very small PDA. You see here the PDA flow. I am injecting in the aorta and the dye is going through PDA. One second. Light attach करो, बंद हो जाएगा, power. And after putting the device, you see there is a stoppage of flow from the aorta to the pulmonary artery. This was a case with a large PDA. You see here elongated large PDA. And after putting this device, there is no flow from the aorta to the pulmonary artery. Again, this was a child, 4-year-old, having conical type of PDA. And after putting the device, you see here, there is no flow from the aorta to the pulmonary artery. Second condition, I'll take up the atrial septal defect. So most of the atrial septal defect, we cannot treat all atrial septal defect. We treat only ostium secundum atrial septal defect with a device. Cable defect, sinus stenosis, or ostium primum defect cannot be treated with a device. And this is a device. There are 2 discs which are joined together. And 1 disc remains in the left atrium, other in the right atrium, and the defect is closed off. This is a atrial septal defect. This is a left atrium, right atrium. And there is a flow from the left atrium to right atrium. And before closing, I am injecting in the left upper pulmonary vein, and the blood is flowing from the left atrium to the right atrium. So this is a device which are already in place. 1 disc is on the left atrium side, other is on the right atrium side. The discs still remain in my hand. Once I am fully sure, only then I'll descrew it. Otherwise, if it is not in the proper position, I can take back into the catheter. So the device is released and it is sitting across the atrial septal defect. Then third condition is ventricle septal defect. Ventricle septal defect which are muscular, only those are treated with the device closure. But nowadays, you see here, this is a muscular defect. And for closing these defects, we have implants a muscular VSD occluder. This is a device which we put. So this was a child who had 3 episodes of infective endocarditis. There is a VSD here, but it is away from the aortic valve. So this is the device which is across, but now there is no flow from the left ventricle to the right ventricle, and this device is now released. Then coming to the valvular heart disease, most common valvular heart disease is mitral stenosis. To show this is how the valve will be, it is a doming valve. There is not much subvalvular thickening. There is not much calcification. These are the valves which are amenable to balloon mitral valvotomy. Indication, if it is a severe mitral stenosis, it is a symptomatic moderate mitral stenosis even is the indication. If there is atrial fibrillation with moderate mitral stenosis and history of thromboembolic phenomena, but on transesophageal echo, now the LA and LA appendage should be clear, because that is a contraindication to do BMV. Other contraindication is if there is a moderate to severe mitral regurgitation, that is contraindication for BMV. This is how we do BMV. The balloon is now lying from right atrium through the interatrial septum. It has gone to the left ventricle, and now it has opened up the valve. Mitral valve is here. So I pulled it back and now inflated at the left tips of the mitral valve, and the results are remarkable in these cases nowadays. Then another condition, valvular heart disease, is aortic valvotomy. Indication, it is indicated in the pediatric age group only. If it is asymptomatic but pressure gradient more than 75 millimeter of mercury, and symptomatic with ECG strain pattern, even the indication more than 50 millimeter gradient is the indication to the balloon atrial valvotomy. In the adults, it is only as a bridge to aortic valve replacement. If there is associated disease leading to short lifespan, aortic stenosis with a cardiogenic shock, and critical aortic stenosis with a pregnancy is an indication. This was a case where it was patient came in the cardiogenic shock. I opened up the valve at midnight, saved the patient. After 5 days, did aortic valve replacement and sent the patient back home. Third valvular heart disease is pulmonary valve stenosis, and this is particularly in the pediatric age group, more common pediatric age group. And the indication, if the pressure gradient more than 50 millimeter mercury, is an indication to do pulmonary valvotomy in this case. So this is the pulmonary valve. You see the valve is doming here. I'm injecting the dye in the right ventricle going into the pulmonary artery. And this is the balloon lying across the pulmonary valve, and it has opened now. And the long-term results are remarkable in the pulmonary stenosis. And most of the time, no surgery is required in these cases later on. Then coarctation of aorta. So this is the echo showing the coarctation segment here. This is the coarctation segment which is narrowed beyond the left subclavian artery. What are the indication? Hypertension and congestive heart failure is an indication. Ideal age is 2 to 5 years, because less than 2 years generally we don't do aortic dilatation, coarctation of aorta dilatation with the balloon. But why beyond 5 years? Because if we do it beyond 5 years, then the chances of persistence of hypertension is there. So ideal age should be 2 to 5 years to do the coarctation dilatation. But unfortunately, most of the cases I get is the adult cases. Now you see here, this was a adult patient of 14-year-old with severe hypertension. The coarctation was so tight, if you see here, I could not cross with the ordinary wire. And I had to cross with PTCA wire, and it took 3 millimeter balloon and dilated it first before I could cross it. This is the pigtail lying across, and this is the coarctation segment. You see here, it was very tight. And after putting here, I used the covered stent. And after putting the covered stent is now lying across the coarctation segment. And this is the after deployment of the stent. You see here the remarkable result. And even the number of medicine, they are decreased remarkably in this child. Then in peripheral vascular disease, If there is a claudication, there is a ischemic rest pain, non-healing ulceration, or more than 70% stenosis is indication to do peripheral artery intervention. You see, this was the superficial femoral artery, which was almost totally occluded, and patient was unable to walk, having pain in the leg. This is after putting the stent. These are the results. Now the patient is on follow-up after so many years, and he's walking about without any symptom. This was a lady with a total occlusion of subclavian, having pain in the left arm, and was referred to me as a cardiac case, but I found that the left radial pulse is absent, and that led to the diagnosis. And after putting the stent, so these are the results. Then in the aneurysm, aortic and peripheral artery aneurysm, now we have covered stent, and we can close the aneurysm without even surgery. So this was a 81-year-old lady. If you see here, there was a thoracic aortic aneurysm, big aneurysm, and it was leaking. There was already pleural effusion in this case, and which was hemorrhagic pleural effusion. And here I put a covered stent. This is a covered stent, so which was deployed across the aneurysm, and this is a low pressure ballooning done in the proximal part. And very common condition, carotid stenosis, which is very, very common in our coronary artery disease patients. So what are the indication? If it is a symptomatic patient, that history of TIA or previous episode of hemiparesis, more than 50% stenosis indication, and asymptomatic more than 70% stenosis. And earlier, there was only people were doing carotid endarterectomy, but now putting the stent is coming at almost par with the carotid endarterectomy. But the still indication is significant medical comorbidity, carotid restenosis, high-grade carotid stenosis with a contralateral occlusion, radiation-induced carotid stenosis, and high cervical stenosis is an indication for carotid interventions. Or if there is associated severe coronary artery disease, unstable angina or other, just doing in these cases carotid endarterectomy alone will be very hazardous. So we put stent and relieve the patient. So this was a patient. You see here very tight stenosis of the left internal carotid artery. So this was after putting the stent. These are the results. Then another condition is renal artery stenosis. Most of the time, the renal artery stenosis is missed, because if we diagnose the renal artery stenosis in time, we can save lot of dialysis and lot of renal transplant even. What are the indication for intervention? Unilateral or bilateral renal artery stenosis more than 70%. With hypertension, patient require 3-4 drugs to control the hypertension. There is impaired renal function, recurrent pulmonary edema, flash pulmonary edema, acute or subacute renal failure and urea. So these are the indication. If there is a more than 70% stenosis, to intervene in these cases to save the kidney or save the renal transplant. So sometimes it is really important to spot something before it finds you. If you don't spot the things coming, so we can land up with the total renal shutdown and patient require renal transplant and all that. You see here a patient presented to me with flash pulmonary edema. When I did the and severe hypertension, there was a very tight stenosis of the right renal artery. This is I am putting the stent, and after putting the stent, so these are the results. The remarkable point is the blood pressure is controlled on the table itself. I took up this patient with a 200 pressure, but after putting the stent, the pressure on table was 130 by 80 millimeter of mercury in this patient. This was a very interesting case. You see the slide done by me 15 years back, post-renal transplant. This patient has undergone renal transplant, but there is a severe stenosis of the renal artery, transplanted renal artery. And after putting the stent, the same day patient passed 11 liters of urine, and his blood urine creatinine remarkably came down. So this was all about the stenosis where we put stents, do balloon dilatations, but sometimes the vessels are leaking and we block those undesired vessels. This patient has undergone the renal biopsy leading to severe hematuria, some injury to the branch. This was a very interesting case, post-bypass surgery patient. You see the here steel stitches, and the patient was having angina. So what was in this case? So this was a branch which was left. So this was a branch which was causing a steel syndrome. So I just put a coil, 2 coils I put, and the branch sealed off, patient angina disappeared. This was a peripartum hemorrhage case, severe bleeding. So otherwise, hysterectomy is required in these cases, but I just put coils and sealed off the vessel and the patient bleeding stopped. And then in hypertrophic obstructive cardiomyopathy, previously the surgeon used to cut this part of the septum to relieve the obstruction, but now we block the blood supply to this. We inject alcohol into the septal arteries, block the blood supply, and on the table there is a remarkable improvement in the pressure gradient. This is the echo you see here, systolic anterior movement of the mitral leaflet. And indication is more than 80-year refractory to the medical therapy, all beta blocker, everything has failed. Asymptomatic septal hypertrophy, classic SAM on the anterior mitral leaflet, Doppler gradient more than 30 millimeter at rest or more than 60 millimeter on provocation with the vasodilators. You see, these are the 2 septal arteries which were supplying blood to that area. So I blocked both the septal arteries. And on table, the gradient disappears and the patient remarkably improves. And last condition I will take up is the IVC filter. If there is a history of pulmonary thromboembolism, when the anticoagulants are contraindicated, failure of anticoagulant therapy, emergency following massive pulmonary embolism, chronic recurrent pulmonary embolism where anticoagulant therapy has failed, contraindication, pregnant patient, vena cava diameter more than 28 millimeter, risk of septic embolism if it is there. So this is how it take only 10 minutes for me to put the filter in the inferior vena cava, and it will allow the blood to pass, but will stop all the clots. Thank you very much for your patient hearing. Thank you.